You've been waiting for permission, waiting for signs, support, or the right moment. But those who rise don't wait, they decide. They walk into storms with the belief that nothing can break them. That belief becomes power. It builds momentum. Acting as if nothing stops you doesn't mean you never fall. It means you never fold. The shift begins when you stop looking for certainty and start moving like it's already yours. In a few moments, I will teach you how to act with boldness, move with certainty, and break through every obstacle. You are more powerful than you act. You walk through life as if your hands are tied, but have you ever truly tested your own strength? Not the kind that bends iron or lifts stone, but the strength to persist when others quit, to hold your vision when others scoff, to keep walking forward when the world closes in. Most men are imprisoned not by iron bars, but by invisible walls they built from doubt, fear, and memory. Why do so many act powerless when they're not? Because they've mistaken obstacles for barriers. They've confused discomfort for danger, and they've believed wrongly that failure defines a man instead of refining him. But here's a secret. Your limits were not born with you. You picked them up like dust by listening to those who stopped believing in themselves. The truth is simple. You can rise. You can act. You can move forward as if nothing stops you, because in reality, nothing can unless you give it permission. So how do you begin to tap this power? Start by refusing to speak limitation over your life. Replace every I can't with I'm learning. Speak boldly to yourself. Act deliberately. Walk as if the outcome is already yours. When your steps are firm, doubt has no place to settle. Picture this. Imagine you are standing at the foot of a great mountain. Most turn back at the base, seeing only the steep cliffs. But you take one step, then another, telling yourself with each stride, this path is mine. And suddenly, the summit no longer feels distant, it feels inevitable. So let me ask you, have you been walking through life like a guest in your own home? Or will you begin to act as the master of your fate, moving forward with certainty, not hesitation? The way you carry yourself shapes what you attract. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to those who walk with certainty? There's a silent force in the way you enter a room, the way you hold your shoulders, the way you respond when pressure rises. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's posture, it's belief expressed in behavior. You can create outcomes by the way you carry yourself. Why does this matter? Because the world is not searching for another timid soul. It's looking for someone who acts with quiet conviction, someone who knows what they stand for and makes others feel safer simply by staying. When you act small, life shrinks to match you. But when you act bold, opportunities appear that once seemed hidden. What is this force that changes things before you speak? It's the discipline of presence, the refusal to flinch, the willingness to stand tall even when your knees are shaking. To build this, begin with one habit. Rise each morning and decide, I will walk, speak, and act today as if I belong at the table of kings. Then live into that decision. Do not wait for permission. Do not seek approval. Decide who you are and act accordingly. Picture this. You enter a meeting, not as someone seeking validation, but as someone bringing value. You sit, you listen, you speak only when it matters. And without saying much, your energy commands attention, not because of who you've been, but because of how you now carry yourself. So I ask you, are you shrinking in the presence of life? Or will you expand into it, shoulders square, eyes forward, acting as if nothing, absolutely nothing, can move you off your path? You become what you persist through. Greatness is not handed to men, it is hammered into them, forged in fire, shaped by struggle, and that is why most will never touch it. They seek ease. But you must train yourself to do hard things again and again until difficulty becomes your default and struggle becomes your strength. Why is persistence so rare? Because the man who persists must suffer in silence while others feast on distraction. He must keep digging when the gold is still buried. He must keep walking while others sit and point fingers. But this is the secret. The one who keeps going becomes the one who stands alone at the top. What does it mean to act as if nothing stops you? It means to see resistance as a friend, not a foe. It means to laugh at failure, not at delay, and keep building with faith while others doubt. How do you do this practically? Create rituals, not routines. Wake before the world does. Begin each day by reminding yourself, I move forward no matter what. And when pain shows up, don't retreat. Tighten your grip. That's how persistence is formed, not in one grand gesture, but in 1,000 silent choices. Picture this. You're planting seeds in dry soil, no sign of life for days. Weeks, the neighbors mock you. Even your own thoughts whisper, give up, but you keep watering. Keep showing up. And one morning, when no one's watching, it sprouts. Your effort breaks through. Now tell me, will you let the silence stop you, or will you persist until the silence breaks and your success shouts? Your mind is a kingdom. Guard it fiercely. Every battle you face out there starts in here, in the mind. Before a man is defeated in life, he is defeated in thought. And before he wins in life, he wins in thought. The mind is not a weak candle flickering in the dark. It is the sun if you learn to command it. Why do men lose their way? Because they allow doubt to rent space in their mind. They let fear deliver monologues. They treat every thought as truth, but not all thoughts deserve your attention. Not all voices are yours. So what must you do? You must stand at the gate of your mind like a soldier. You must challenge every thought that weakens you, every idea that makes you smaller, every memory that chains you to the past. Replace them with truth, with power, really with visions of who you're becoming. Here's how you begin. Write down what you believe. Speak it aloud each morning. Let no day pass where you don't remind your mind that you are in charge. Your thoughts do not own you. You own them. Picture this. Imagine you're walking through a crowded market. Shouts, chaos, noise. That is the untrained mind. But then you build a wall. You hang a sign. No entry without purpose. Now the noise stays outside. Inside, clarity, focus, peace. Let me ask you, are you ruling your thoughts, or have you allowed every wandering fear to sit on your throne? Every step forward is a vote for your future. Each decision you make is not just a choice, it's a whisper to your destiny, shaping who you are becoming, brick by invisible brick. You may think the turning points in your life will come in loud, dramatic moments, but the truth is quieter. It's not the grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs that forge your future. It's the repeated steps, taken in silence, often unnoticed, that slowly sculpt the man you were meant to become. When you act as if nothing can stop you, it doesn't mean the path is clear or resistance is absent. It means you've placed your future above your comfort. It means you've made a vow that no matter what stands in your way, doubt, fatigue, failure, you will keep moving. Most men stay the same, not because they lack dreams, but because they underestimate the force of small, repeated action. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait to feel ready, strong, inspired. But transformation doesn't come from waiting. It comes from motion, from doing something, anything, that aligns with who you wish to become. That's the real secret. Progress does not demand a heroic leap. It only asks that you take the next honest step. Then take it again and again, with faith, with discipline, with belief that the man you are building is worth the repetition. So where must your focus lie? On momentum, not speed. On discipline, not drama. On repetition, not reward. One decision repeated with intention becomes a habit. That habit lived out daily becomes part of your character. And character, that is the substance from which your future is carved. Life does not respond to wishes. It responds to who you consistently are. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, but every single day. What do you do when you feel numb? When the fire's gone? You move anyway. You get up anyway. You remind yourself that motion is meaning. You remind yourself that each act is a statement. This is who I am. You become your own proof, and you cast a vote for the man you are becoming, not through words, but through your walk. Now picture this. A man, quiet and consistent, lays a single brick each morning. Others mock. They don't see the vision. They laugh at the slowness, the simplicity. But he does not flinch. He keeps building, a brick, a brick, a brick. Days become weeks, weeks become years, and one day he steps back, and before him stands a fortress, impenetrable, undeniable, built not by bursts of effort, but by the steady hand of resolve. So I ask you, what are you voting for with your actions? Are your days a reflection of the man you say you are? Or are you betraying your own future through hesitation and excuse? Maybe it's time to cast a new vote, not by speaking louder, but by acting stronger, with your pace, with your presence, with your steps. Let your life become the declaration. Let your daily discipline become the proof. The man who moves without waiting wins. You wait. You tell yourself you're just being wise, waiting for the right time, for that clear signal, for the cheerleaders to show up, for certainty to strike like lightning. But let's face the truth that most men avoid. The right time doesn't arrive. It's not found, it's forged. The man who succeeds isn't the one who discovers the perfect moment, he's the one who creates it through movement. Most men, in fact, never even begin, not because they're incapable, not because they lack strength, but because they've convinced themselves they can't start without applause, without a guarantee, without everything lined up and blessed by fate. They wait their lives away, mistaking hesitation for preparation. Why do people delay action so long? Because they believe readiness is something they'll feel, as if one day they'll wake up with no doubt, no fear, just overflowing certainty. But readiness isn't a mood. It's not a blessing. It's a decision. You decide to move. You choose to start. Confidence isn't something you're handed. It's something you build, one action at a time. The courage you want doesn't precede movement. It grows through it. You don't become fearless and then act. You act while still afraid. And over time, the fear fades, not because it's gone, but because you've grown. The man who acts, even imperfectly, is already ahead. While others are analyzing, hesitating, second-guessing, he's gaining ground. While they draft plans, he lays bricks. While they wait for more information, he creates results. The world honors those who move, not those who muse. And you must train yourself to become one of them. That's the difference between the one who watches and the one who wins. So how do you become this man of action? You burn your escape routes. You remove maybe from your language. You declare your direction each morning with finality. Today I go. Today I grow. Today I take the next bold step. Don't wait to feel ready. That feeling rarely comes on its own. But action is a generator. It sparks clarity. It fuels momentum. The fog lifts after you walk through it, not before. Now picture this. Two men stand before a storm. One scans the sky, reading signs, looking for patterns. He writes, he wonders, he waits. The other adjusts his coat, steadies his breath, and starts walking. One man has knowledge, the other gains distance. When the storm fades and the sun returns, it's not the thinker who has traveled, it's the mover. So let me ask you directly, what exactly are you still waiting for? Are you expecting someone to tell you it's time, to hand you perfection? Newsflash. They never will. Life offers no permission slips, no flawless conditions, only the step right in front of you, that one real opportunity to move. So will you take it, or will you keep circling the same decision day after day as time slips quietly through your fingers? Speak as if your words shape the world. Your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. And whether you realize it or not, your life is the harvest. Everything you speak to yourself, about yourself, and around others shapes the soil of your reality. Speak small, and your world will shrink to fit your sentences. Speak with conviction, power, and vision, and you will awaken forces within you that have long laid dormant. You will rouse strength you didn't know you had. This isn't motivational fluff. It's the invisible law most ignore. What you speak is not separate from what you become. In time, they merge. Your words build the house you live in, yet most men speak weakness over their lives, not because they are broken, but because they've been taught that their words are casual, that their speech is just noise. But the truth, the tongue is a weapon, a builder, a compass. It points you toward your future or locks you in your past. Say "I can't" often enough, and the world will echo it back until it becomes a cage. Say "I will" enough times, and you begin to walk through walls that once looked like permanent barriers. The difference between power and pity is often found in the sentence a man repeats every morning. So what should you say? Speak as if your voice is the signal your spirit has been waiting for. Speak like a general issuing orders to his army. Your life is not just happening, it is responding to your language, your rhythm, your repetition. Talk about where you're going, not where you've been stuck. Talk about solutions, not just your struggles. Speak as if your destiny is listening, because it is. Every sentence is either calling you forward or chaining you to the same place. If you want to shift your entire direction, begin with how you speak in the first 10 minutes of your day, before the world gets loud, before the doubts arrive. Speak your vision, not to impress anyone, not to feel good, but to remind your own soul who's in charge. These are not affirmations for the mirror. These are declarations for war. You are not pretending. You are proclaiming, reminding yourself of what you've chosen to believe. Tell yourself, I don't shrink, I solve, I rise, I move, and then act like it. And never, never speak defeat in the middle of your battle. Don't curse your efforts while you're still climbing. Don't speak of giving up when your breakthrough may be one action away. Your words must carry you, not drag you back into the pit, especially when you're tired, especially when the outcome is still hidden. That is when your voice must become your anchor. Picture this. Two men walk into a job interview. Same education, same skill set. One mutters, I hope I'm good enough. The other says with quiet certainty, I bring value. I solve problems. Who gets the offer? Not the man with the better resume, the man with the bolder belief. The man who used his voice not to beg, but to build. So let me ask you, what have you been saying lately? Are your words shaping a future you're proud of? Or are you muttering your limitations like a lullaby, putting your potential to sleep with every passive phrase? Your future is listening, your mind is listening, and your spirit responds to what your mouth repeats. Speak with strength, speak with direction. Speak like a man who knows his words are laying the foundation of his next level, because they are. Your reputation begins with private discipline. You want respect? Don't start by seeking it in the eyes of others. That's the end, not the beginning. True respect is born in silence, in the hours when no one's watching, in the dark mornings when the world sleeps and you rise, not for praise, not for validation, but because you made a vow to yourself. The man who commands admiration in public is the one who has already won 1,000 unseen battles in private. The way you train, the way you think, the way you speak to yourself when there is no applause, that is what shapes the man others will one day admire. And if you cut corners in private, don't be surprised when the world sees through the illusion. You cannot fool your future. It remembers what you do when no one is watching. It sees your habits, and it pays you accordingly. Why do most people demand reward without discipline? Because they've been trained to chase applause instead of mastery. They want the trophy without the training, the respect without the responsibility. They believe image is more important than integrity. But you must not be like them. You must become a man of depth, a man who builds in silence what others only pretend to possess. Be the man who works while others boast, who keeps the promises he makes to himself, especially when no one else is there to witness. That's where true power is born, not in spotlight, but in solitude. So what should you do with this truth? You build a life that impresses you first, not your neighbor, not your boss, you. Start by mastering the morning. Wake early, not because it's trendy, but because it's a statement, a declaration that you own your time. Plan your day before it steals itself from you. Keep your space in order, your room, your desk, your thought, clean space, clean mind. Honor your word, even in the smallest of matters. These are not small acts. These are declarations of who you are. And these tiny disciplines, repeated day after day, create a presence that others can feel the moment you walk into a room. That's how reputation is built, not from dramatic gestures, but from quiet excellence that becomes your normal. How do you develop this kind of strength? You stop making your actions dependent on your feelings. You set standards that do not waver. You create non-negotiables, lines that you will not cross, routines you will not break, not because someone is watching, but because you are. You say, I do this no matter how I feel. That is the beginning of mastery. That is the birth of trust in yourself. And remember this, discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is proof that you value your potential enough to act on it, even when it's hard. Picture this. A man walks past a mirror. He doesn't flex, he doesn't pose. He nods, not out of vanity, but out of recognition. He knows himself. He trusts himself because he remembers what he did when no one was watching. The early mornings, the workouts, the journals, the times he showed up when it would have been easier to quit. That nod, it's rare and it's powerful. It is the quiet confidence of a man who has nothing to prove because he has receipts. He doesn't need permission to believe in himself. He's earned it. Now reflect. Do you admire yourself behind closed doors when it's just you and your thoughts? Are you proud of the man you see? Or are you putting on a show for the world while crumbling inside? Your answer will tell you more about your life than any praise or title ever could. You cannot demand respect from others until you give it to yourself first. And that respect, it is earned in silence, in sacrifice, in the sacred, unseen work. Because in the end, it is not your charm, your clothes, or your charisma that will make your name matter. It is your consistency, your integrity, your invisible victories. Those are the bricks that build a reputation strong enough to carry weight. So choose wisely what you do when no one's watching, because that is where the foundation of a powerful life is laid. Confidence is earned by keeping your word. You want to walk boldly through life? You want to act like nothing can stop you? Then there is one place you must begin. Keep your word to yourself. Not once, not sometimes, every time, especially when no one is watching, especially when it's hard. Because the man who cannot keep promises to himself cannot build self-respect. And without self-respect, no title, no position, no applause will mean anything. You might gain the world's praise for a moment, but your own reflection will always know the truth. And if you don't believe in you, that crown you're chasing will fall from your head the first time the winds of doubt blow. Self-respect is not a luxury, it's your armor. Why do so many men struggle with confidence? Because they believe it's something you're born with, that some men just have it. But confidence is not gifted, it is forged. It is a reward you earn when your actions match your intent. Every time you say, I'll do it, and you actually do, you're engraving trust into your nervous system. You're sending proof to your brain that your word is law, and that law becomes your backbone. That is how men rise, not by noise, not by pretending, but by doing, quietly, repeatedly. And what happens when your words and actions finally align? Something rare. You begin to trust yourself. You stop second-guessing. You stop over-explaining. You move through life with a kind of quiet strength. Not arrogance, but assurance. It's in the way you walk, the way you enter a room, the way you speak. You don't announce what you'll do. You don't need to. You've made a habit of proving it. And that speaks volumes. People feel it. And slowly the world starts to trust you too. Not because you demanded respect, but because you demonstrated integrity. So how do you begin building this kind of unshakable confidence? Don't start by trying to conquer the mountain. Start with one step, one promise. Make one simple commitment to yourself each morning. I'll wake up at this time. I'll read these pages. I'll complete this task. And then keep it. Not because you feel like it, because you said you would. Let that promise matter more than your mood. Then tomorrow, add another, then another. Slowly your day becomes a series of small victories, and those victories stack. Speak them aloud. Let yourself hear your own progress, not to brag, to build. You are training your mind to believe in you. Picture this. A man wakes up before the sun. He says, I will rise early, and he does. He says, I will exercise, and he does. He says, I will not complain today, and he holds his tongue. These are not grand gestures, but each kept promise becomes a brick, and those bricks, over time, become a fortress, a structure he can stand on. When others ask, where does your confidence come from? He doesn't need to answer. He just nods, because he knows he built it with discipline, with relentless honesty. But if you're breaking silent agreements with yourself, if you say tomorrow and it becomes next week, if you say just once and it becomes a habit, if you make promises you already know you won't keep, then you are training yourself to distrust your own voice. And that is why you hesitate. That is why you feel stuck. It's not the world. It's the fracture between what you say and what you do. That's where insecurity is born. And the only way to heal that is not with inspiration, but integrity. So let me ask you this. Can you trust you? Strip away the noise. Forget the mask you wear in public. When it's just you, no audience, no pressure, are you a man of your word? Or are you still breaking the most important contract in your life, the one you made with yourself? Because here's the truth most never tell you. Confidence doesn't begin in your posture. It begins in your promises, the ones no one else hears, the ones that shape your soul. Decide today to make those promises sacred, to raise the standard of what your word means. You don't need to start loud, just start real. Build trust with yourself, one act at a time. And when you do, you'll walk taller, speak clearer, stand firmer, because nothing moves a man who trusts himself. That is where unshakable confidence lives. Not in your voice, but in your follow-through. And once you have that, you won't need to act like nothing can stop you. You'll know nothing can. Walk with purpose, even before you know the path. You don't need to see every step. That's not how the journey works. You simply need to take the next one. With purpose, with conviction, with a sense that even though the entire path is not revealed, you are moving in the right direction. The man who walks in circles, second-guessing every move, endlessly analyzing, waiting for a sign, waiting for the fog to lift, never gets far. He mistakes hesitation for wisdom, but time passes anyway, and his indecision becomes its own decision. But the man who walks with direction, who steps forward into uncertainty with resolve, he begins to stir something greater. He may not know where the trail leads, but each step carves it into existence. He moves mountains, not because he sees the peak, but because he refuses to stop walking. Why do so many hesitate? Because the unknown terrifies them, because they've been told that certainty is safety, that you must have every answer before you act, that the road must be laid out in full, lit from end to end. But that's not how life rewards you. That's not how purpose is discovered. No man has ever seen the entire path before he began the climb. No legend was born with a perfect map. Purpose is not waiting at the summit, calling your name. It is forged in the ascent, in the struggle, in the steps taken without applause, without clarity, without approval. And the longer you wait for everything to align, the further you drift from the life that could have been yours. So what should you do when the way is unclear? Choose a direction. Pick a mission, not in desperation, but in discipline. You do not move with panic. You move with poise, not with fear, but with fierce intention. You don't chase 10 things. You commit to one. You plant your flag and you walk. And as you walk, something strange begins to happen. The path begins to reveal itself. Doors open that you didn't see before. People appear who weren't there at the start. The ground beneath you strengthens with each step, but none of it happens unless you begin. And when doubt creeps in, as it always does, don't seek comfort in results. Anchor yourself in values. Ask yourself, what kind of man do I want to become? That question will serve you more than any plan ever could, because when you know the man you are building, you don't need the world to reassure you. You have a compass that doesn't depend on conditions. It doesn't matter if it's sunny or storming. If the crowd is cheering or silent, you keep moving. And every step you take in alignment with your values is a brick in the foundation of your future. You don't need speed, you need direction. A man moving slowly toward a worthy mission is miles ahead of the man running in circles with no clarity. Don't confuse motion with meaning. The question is not how fast am I going, but am I headed somewhere that matters? Picture this. Two travelers stand at the edge of a vast landscape. One waits. He needs the perfect map. He wants certainty. He refuses to begin until every detail is known. The other looks to the stars. He trusts his principles. He knows where he wants to go, not the exact route, but the direction. So he steps forward. He meets allies. He adapts. He discovers hidden roads. The terrain shifts, but so does he. He grows because he moves. And the other? He's still at the beginning, still sharpening his pencil, still waiting, still stuck. Now ask yourself, are you walking or just thinking about walking? Are you in motion or are you just planning to be? You don't need to have it all figured out. No one does, and if they say they do, they're lying. Life doesn't reward the most prepared. It rewards the most committed. You earn your wisdom by walking through the fog. You find your strength in uncertainty. You uncover the path by taking steps, not by standing still. So trust your feet, trust your effort, trust that the man who keeps moving, even when he's unsure, is the man who eventually arrives, because he learns, because he endures, because he acts. You don't need to know every turn. You don't need the full map. You just need the courage to begin. One step, then another, and another. That's how paths are made. That's how lives are built. That's how greatness is earned. So will you walk forward even when the road isn't clear, or will you stand still, waiting for a certainty